Oh, hi, I didn't see you there. This is what I've been doing for the past 4 months, preparing for this video. You better enjoy it. Hello there ladies and gents, and welcome back to One Man Bands, the channel where we take popular bands and write songs inspired by their style. Today we're taking a short trip across the channel to France to visit prog metal kaiju Gojira. Gojira. For me, these guys are the absolute cream of the crop when it comes to creating cohesive and catchy groove-laden chaos. It feels like I say this a lot, but gonna be honest, this one took me way longer than I'd initially anticipated, mainly because there were so many techniques that I literally had to learn from scratch, purely so I could do this authentically. So when I joke that I've spent the past 4 months doing galloping picking in my spare time, it's absolutely true. I really did do this. I did it for your enjoyment. So get ready to rock. But apologies for the wait. I'm glad we're finally here. Gojira are a really interesting band, mainly because over the years they've transitioned from essentially a death metal style into prog metal and then into more alternative rock, I suppose. The last 2 albums especially have hinted towards a new sound that is potentially slightly more accessible for the masses, and it's evidently worked. Songs like Stranded have done amazingly well for pushing the band's popularity. But it was the super heavy progressive Gojira that got me into them in the first place, so I want to make sure that we pay homage to that in this song. I'm going to try and have a nice combination of the modern, more catchy style and the more classic Gojira brutal progressive metal style. I'm so excited to be covering this band, so let's start with where Gojira's feel and groove come from. The drums. We have to start here because I'm just going to come right out and say it. For me personally, Mario Duplantier is one of the most technically brilliant, innovative and musically astute drummers currently active in all of music. He has supreme ability, precision and pace behind the kit, but he only ever uses exactly what's necessary. There's no showboating here. He uses all of his skills to create totally new and unique drum parts. There are a whole host of techniques on show in his playing, but here's just a couple that I've decided to use in my song. Or, more realistically, the ones that I thought that it was physically possible for me to learn in the time span that I had to make this video, without you guys thinking that I'd died. Firstly, the musical application of rudiments. Wait. It's more interesting than it sounds, I promise. This really is as simple as it sounds, taking drum rudiments and applying them around the kit to make them musical. A good example of this is the song Liquid Fire, where in the chorus, Mario in his hands is literally just playing paradiddles, but he's accenting the backbeat as he plays them. So I dove into good old stick control and picked exercise 7 as the basis for my pre-chorus. Another cool feature of Mario's playing is something I like to call drum riffs, wherein he is doing something so interesting on the drums that he is the main event. The guitars keep time, and the drums actually get to do something cool. This should happen more often. I appreciate you, Mario, standing up for us drummers, allowing us to do more interesting things rather than just being clocks. The best example of this is The Art of Dying, where the guitars just chug away 16th notes and he plays this hypnotic pattern. This pattern is a real brain teaser, so here it is up to full speed. It loops back into itself in such an interesting and hypnotic way that I really wanted to have a go at creating my own slightly simplified version of this. So I came up with this drum pattern. And then I layered it up with the chugging 16th note guitars keeping time to give you this. The musicality of Mario Duplantier does not stop there either. He also has this habit of playing irregular patterns and contrasting the low and high sounds on his kit. He really gets the most out of his ride bell, splashes, effects symbols, and this literal slab of scrap metal that Gojira dragged around on tour with them, that is now available as a plug-in. Yes, you heard me right. For example, in Ocean Planet, the guitar is contrasting these low chugs with high squealing pinch harmonics and then big open chords. Mario uses the deep double kick and toms to sync up with the low chugging of the guitar, and then emphasizes the harmonics and open chords with the super high sounding ride bell and crashes. The contrast of low to high gives the song more weight. It makes the low pitch sounds hit harder and the high pitch sounds groove more. I have a similar kind of contrasting riff in my song which goes from chugging to high open strings, similar to the heaviest matter of the universe. So I accent the open strings in the guitar with the bell on my ride or my china, and then for the chugging I'm using double kick all the way. Mario does a similar thing with his fills. Where a normal drummer tends to play patterns that go from high to low, Mario throws in little cymbal accents on bells and splashes to make the fills unpredictable and syncopated. Take the fill at the end of Stranded. I wanted to have a go at forging some of my own Mario Duplantier inspired fills, and there's one that I'm really happy with that comes at the end of my song. Here it is slowed down first. And now here it is in context. Using weird sounds is also a part of Mario Duplantier's arsenal. He'll drum on anything, like the aforementioned piece of scrap metal that's available as a plug-in. You can hear him banging away on pieces of scrap metal at the start of The Art of Dying. So the banging sample at the start of my song is me going up to the railings outside of my flat and hitting them with a hammer and then pitch shifting it down. It's small details that count in Gojira songs. Mario Duplantier, for me, is one of the most innovative and unique drummers currently active in all of music. Period. Gojira's rhythm and creative approach to groove in heavy music is fueled by Mario Duplantier's musicality behind the kit. He squeezes every last sound out of his drum kit, really makes it work for him, and it was super eye-opening to try and drum in this style. So thank you, Mario. Let's get on to the stringy boys. We're going to tackle bass and guitar simultaneously here, because they work in tandem to achieve the effects that Gojira desire. And when I say effects, I'm not joking, and I don't just mean pedals either. The guitarists in Gojira, Joe Duplantier, Christian Angiou, and bassist Jean-Michel Labadier, who is the Frenchest sounding man I've ever heard, are masters of squeezing in every little guitar technique into their riffs that they possibly can. The guitar is a very bizarre instrument when you think about it. A bunch of wires stretch across a piece of wood with magnets that make it loud, and you can get a whole host of wonderful sounds out of them. And Gojira use all of them. They use them to give their music some life. They even incorporate them directly into their riffs. A few of the techniques they love to throw in are classic metal pinch harmonics. This is where you pick through one of the strings on your guitar and let it hit the fleshy part of your thumb to give you this high-pitched squeal sound. dissonant harmonics, where you gently rest your finger across the fret of the guitar without actually pushing down, and then pluck the strings hard, potentially on the 4th fret. Couple this with the drums, likely using a bell or a china at the same time, then you have this moment of limbo in a song where all the low end drops out and then kicks back in again in an instant. It's really good for making hard-hitting grooves. Harmonic pick scrapes, the signature Gojira sound. This is made by turning your pick sideways, putting your fretting finger in a similar place to where you would if you were doing a dissonant harmonic, like hovering over the 4th fret, and then pulling down with your pick as if you're trying to cut the strings in half. This is in loads of Gojira tunes. They literally incorporate it directly into their riffs, like at the start of From the Sky. Two-handed tapping, where they are essentially making a melody and a bass line simultaneously. This is done by holding down a fret with your left hand and then tapping the string with your right hand. The best example of this is the song Ouroboros. Ouroboros? Ouroboros. This one. Tremolo picking, where you just pick well fast, like in From the Sky. Galloping on the strings, and this is another one that includes bass. When you hear big single note sounding riffs, it's very likely they're using this galloping technique. For example, in Stranded, you might be tempted to play the riff like this. But you'll notice it doesn't pack the same punch as the original. That's because the guitars are using these super fast gallops like this. The effect of this is you still get almost a tight single note sound, but the scratchy presence of the pick attack is present right the way through the note, rather than appearing at the start with the transient and then decaying. It's a great way to add some aggression to your single note riffs. And this is one of the techniques that I really had to practice to get my hand responding consistently past a certain speed, because I had to get to the point where it felt second nature playing single notes like this. I use it heavily in the outro riff of my song. These techniques are a great way to get that signature Gojira sound into your riffs. So when you're listening to my song at the end of this video, keep an ear out for all of them, because I have managed to squeeze them all in there. But how do we actually musically assemble something Gojira sounding? First, our choice of chord voicings is very important. Gojira don't rely too heavily on power chords. Instead, they opt for these inverted 5th chords made by just barring the 2 lowest strings at the same fret. So I used these inverted 5th chords and pinch harmonics for my super heavy section. Another common occurrence is the use of thirds, giving a surprisingly melodic feel to a lot of Gojira's music. Harmony is something that's often missing in aggressive metal music. So the use of major and minor thirds are something that can add some colour to the chugs. This can either occur with one guitar playing thirds, or with 2 guitars splitting the third between them, one playing the root note or one playing the third. This is what happens in the song The Cell. Part of the fun of Gojira is, although they like to use complex riffs and odd time signatures and polyrhythms, they also just like to lay back and feel the groove. Just play one or two notes and focus on enjoying the rhythm of the song. Some might claim that over the years they've moved from their progressive approach to a more accessible one, but honestly I disagree. I think this streak of playing simple, groove-laden riffs has always been there with them. They've just turned it up a bit. Take the main riff from Explosion, for example. One note, all groove. So make use of these crazy guitar techniques, use interesting chord variants rather than just power chords, and don't forget to groove. You'll have yourself a Gojira riff in no time. But of course, the song wouldn't be complete without the vocal talents of Mr. Joe Duplantier. This was another part of the song I knew I would struggle with. Let's be real here, I've not done vocals this heavy before. And while I have a little experience with distorted vocals, Joe Duplantier is a monster. I've done some fry screams before, which I'm fairly comfortable doing. But Joe Duplantier uses a technique called false chord screaming, which is a totally different thing. I'm no vocal coach, but the best way I could describe it is where fry screaming distorts the top end of your voice, kind of acts like an overdrive pedal. False chord screams are more of a grunt. They come from the diaphragm, like It's the difference between like and what am I doing, man? They come from the diaphragm interacting with these special chords, false chords, in your throat, and they give a more rounded and guttural scream compared to the harshness of the fry scream. The magic of Joe Duplantier's voice, however, is that he introduces melody to these screams. It gives such a unique vocal performance that's both brutally aggressive yet melodic, and the range is really impressive too. That high part in the chorus of Stranded is seriously high to be singing with that level of distortion on your voice. You're coming face down dead. Another day and for dawn. As hard as this was, I really wanted to have a crack at doing this for the most intense and triumphant section of my song, and I think it came out pretty well. Honestly, my technique on this probably wasn't ideal because I've been doing it for a couple of hours at that point. Don't do that, it's bad for your voice. It was messed up for a week afterwards, but I had a time frame in which to record. In previous years, Joe Duplantier's vocals have been almost solely heavy and distorted. However, in the last couple of records, there have been passages where he's been able to do some purely melodic sections, doing some singing, like the bridge in Stranded. So to get a nice balance, I wanted to alternate between the distorted vocals and cleans in my verses. Lyrically, Gojira have a real streak of writing songs critiquing humanity's impact on the world. Classics like Amazonia, Silvera, Toxic Garbage Island, Global Warming are all very on the nose with their references to global warming and the negative impact that mankind has had upon the planet. So I had a go at penning some lyrics carrying a similar message about the overconsumption of humanity, getting angry for the planet. The delivery of Joe's vocals is the real cherry on top of Gojira's sound, delivering brutally aggressive performances that elevate the general intensity of the band and power home the messages he's trying to convey. When the subject matter is as heavy as the very survival of our planet, The vocals have to be heavy enough to carry that subject. Joe Duplantier does not disappoint. So those are the major elements of Gojira's sound that I've tried to squeeze into my song. Lord knows this was an absolute mountain to climb for me technically, but I'm pretty happy with where the song's ended up. I really hope that you think it's captured the heart of Gojira's sound. So remember, write riffs on drums. Don't be afraid to get groovy. Substitute your power chords for inverted fifths and thirds. Use every guitar technique in the book and scream about the environment. And there you will have your very own Gojira song. As ever, leave a like if you enjoy the song, comment which band I should do next, and subscribe so you can see when I do. This is my song, finally, inspired by Gojira. It's called The Eve of Harvest. Enjoy.
I'm a lady and my bleach is